We've got Jan Kuhlmann from Xsolla here to talk about going directly to your consumers to earn more. Are you here? Ah, perfect. So please, a round of applause for Jan.
Thank you.
There's your...
That's a clicker?
All right.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. How's everyone doing? You good? You grabbed food? You're not hungry? Starving? Great. Cool. So, yeah, looking at this image, I think I look a little bit younger than now, but this is just a year old. So what happened in between? I lost a little bit of weight, which is good, but on the other hand, I also have 2 kids I'm chasing around, or they're chasing me around. So I feel like I'm aging way faster now. So a little bit about me before I start into the speaking session. I'm now working since 10 years in the video games industry. I worked at Ubisoft, always on the business side, and joined Xsolla 2 years ago. And yeah, now I'll be back here in Helsinki for the 3rd time, a place which I really like. I like the community, I like the people being here. And so thanks for joining in. Within the next few minutes, we're going to talk about some trends, some statistics, and then talk about how you can apply and get your own web shop in place to go direct to your players or to your consumers. So first of all, what we do at Xsolla, we are a global video game commerce company. So we help developers and publishers go direct to their players around the globe. We offer more than 700 payment methods, which can help you open up new markets, offer the preferred payment methods you want to have and your players enjoy. And with this opening a wider audience, you also be able to collect more data points and better understand user behaviors. And this can all help you have more data available to make your decisions. We are headquartered in Los Angeles, and we have branches and offices around the globe. OK. First of all, a tiny look back to 1995. I think it's amazing to see how far we have come as an industry overall. In 1995, we were looking at 32 billion in revenue and roughly 100 million of players. Now in 2023, we're about 200 billion in revenue and 3.2 billion in player size. So this means there are more players, there are more ways to engage, to play, and this is happening around the globe, so there are more places where gaming is happening. So some of the mobile market changing conditions we're seeing is that last year we saw a first ever decline of 6.7% based on the Newzoo global market report, and we are in the post-IDFA and ETA era. And then there's a couple of regulatory changes coming in the European Union with the Digital Markets Act. Taking a closer look now to where we are at the moment, this is based on the Newzoo Global Market Report 2023. So they are comparing June 2022 to June 2023. Mobile game revenue is making up almost a half of what we see at a global scale. So even though we saw a decline last year, we now see that it stabilizes and it stays above what we had before the COVID pandemic. If you conduct another research done by Data AI and IDC, you see that their prediction is even more positive, as they believe that we will see 108 billion in revenue for the mobile game industry by the end of 2023. And this would be a surpass of what the revenue is done by all the other platforms. And overall, we know that the human population is growing. And gaming kids are now raised with games. And mobile phones are the easiest way, the most accessible point to start gaming. So there's a good prediction that in the next years to come, there will be just more players and therefore more people enjoying your games. Another thing that changed over the past decade is that the nature of sales is changing for the video game industry overall. But of now, we still have that you, as a developer, as a publisher, you have a reseller in between you and your players. In entertainment, we see that this is changing. This is changing. You know this from streaming movies, series, music, and sports, and so on. So what does it mean to go direct to your consumers? It means that you have a direct connection to your player base. You're going to market, sell, and distribute your games and your offers directly to your audience. You will collect more data points and better understand their needs. So what is it that Xsolla can do for you? We can help you set up a web shop so that you can go direct to your players to generate more revenue. You control the user flow, and you have the potential to tap into new markets and widen your reach for your games. And this also comes with way more data that you can analyze. You get opportunity to set up your target audiences, differ by the different ways they interact on your web shop, the stuff they buy, the offers they really like. And eventually, you have, as said, more players available to bring into your game and to create repeated purchases and improve your retention. So one figure we see for top grossing web shops we are working with right now is that up to 45% of the top grossing web shops getting, now 45% of the revenue coming in by those top grossing web shops is like, that's doable, that's achievable when you go direct to your players. Another metric is that 60% of the players make repeated purchases. So once you have driven them over to a web shop, they understand your offer, they are more likely and inclined to come back and do repeated purchases. And we see that on average, during the course of a month, they are doing up to 6 purchases. And the overall player conversion, we see for one of the best web shops, or on the cohort of the best performing ones, is between 40 to 60%. So let's talk about one partner in particular, which is Tilting Point. So Tilting Point started their web shop for their game Star Trek Timelines, as well as Warhammer Chaos and Conquest. And the challenge they faced is they were looking for new revenue streams. So they wanted to enhance the player retention for their game Star Trek Timelines. So they launched with us the web shop and improved their player metrics as they catered specifically to the needs around their whales, around their dolphins, and new aspiring newcomers. And the results they have right now is that a quarter of the revenue they're doing on this brand is already coming from the web shop that they brand, the web shop that they control, and where they get all the data points they want to take a closer look at. So, and over half of the shoppers make repeated purchases, so they are also on the same cohort as we have seen for the best performing web shops. And this is part of our primary mission. We want to help democratize the video games industry, as we believe your games should be accessible as possible, playing should be as easy as possible, as well as paying. And the solution we provide is completely customizable to your needs, adaptable to your brand, and as said, you control the user flow. You get more data out of this. You will be able to plug in 700 plus payment methods, which can open up new markets in more areas around the globe. And you have then the audience analytics, which helps you to make good decisions moving forward. So some of our partners we have here, as said, we have 150 web shops right now with 90 partners. Some of those are the ones you can see in here. And one of the strategies we truly believe in is that this is a change of understanding and mindset coming from the players. So the mobile is where you play, where the web is where you're going to pay for the game. So let's end with a small video on how the purchase flow can look like. So that's pretty simple, isn't it? You just brand your store, you bring the people in, and then once they go through this flow, they can save up their preferred payment methods. They're going to log in with their ID, and then the next purchase is going to make pretty easy for them. So the key takeaways I want to give you before we start into the Q&A session is that you can get more audience with more payment methods offered. You generate a wider reach, which increases your revenue. You're going to save up on the reduced fees with us as you gain from the markup from what you usually pay to the third-party platforms. And then with the web shop, you gain more control over your user audience. And more control also means more independency for you. So that's it from my side. We have a booth in here, so if you want to know more, please stop by. We have a couple of BizDev managers here who can explain in more depth on how we usually work with prospects and with partners, and what we can offer, and also help on solving some of the technical aspects of this solution. Thanks, everyone. Open for questions.
Great, thank you very much, Jan. We've got plenty of time there, I think, for questions, and there'll be a mic in the audience. So yeah, we've got 5 or 6 minutes, so we can take a couple of questions. Does anyone want to pick Jan's brains while he's here? We've got a question from the audience. Actually, I have to say I can't see because of the lights, but while you think of questions, I'll ask you. How do the platform holders feel about giving more independence to game creators and then being able to go off and sell things through web shops?
So I think, what I stated before, we believe that the video game industry should be more democratized, sure. And we believe in that the developers and the publishers should have more power, more control overall. I'm sure they're taking a close look of what we do and offer, but referencing to the Digital Markets Act, for example, in the European Union, the regulations tell them that they have to open up to third-party payment providers, but not just this. I mean, it's also, we would see what happens to site loading and all of this. So yeah. I think there's a lot of changes coming in. And as I see it, being a European citizen as well, I see maybe the European Union is up to something which we will see distribute across the world. And you can set up your web shop. Why shouldn't you be able to do this? There's certain constraints you have to apply to the platform rules. That's sure, to make sure that you're good and all of this. But I think besides the revenue we are talking about, there's a lot also about the first-party data you gain. I worked for 3 years on the web store at Ubisoft. So this is their PC store where they go direct to their players and driving the traffic to the store. And companies like Ubisoft and others have benefited a lot from getting more data, better understand their audiences, creating better better offers. Better
relationship with directly with their audience, yes. And understanding them. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's interesting. So it sounds like with the regulation under the microscope and things gone, this is actually the perfect time to be considering how you...
Yeah, for sure. So, and I mean, we have 90 partners, and we know that some are a little bit hesitant at the moment. And we understand this, and this is why we have just a few of them being here, because they are fine with being publicly presented. But I think it's a trend we're gonna see, and I believe the platforms are going to adapt to the trends the one way or the other. And now is the time to look into fresh ideas, see into where fresh revenue streams may come from, just to stabilize as well.
Yeah, perfect. Does anyone have a question from the audience for Jan while we're here? Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one at the front there. Please, can you take a mic there? Perfect. Thank you.
Wanted to know how hard it is to implement your web shop for the developers.
So the business answers, it's super easy and super fast. It is, but the technical experts would say, yeah, it takes some time. I've heard that on average, it's possible to do in 6 weeks. To create a web shop can take just 30 minutes. It depends on how easy it is to get your assets being uploaded. We have few SDKs, rather for PC, so it's Unreal and Unity, but also Cocos SDK, which makes it more easy. But yeah, creating a web shop is not that difficult. Still, it will take time. Yeah, but we're talking about weeks, and then it's done.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. That's a great question. I think we've got a couple of minutes. We've got time for one more down here. Yeah.
Hello. I have a question. Can we use those web shops in mobile games? Can we integrate?
So, yeah, that's some of the particular things we have to pay attention to. So your web shop is on the web. What you can do within the game is you speak about the next content coming up in your game. And you're gonna send people to your website because it's about the content coming up. Eventually, you have a web shop on your website. You're not allowed to have a direct link from in the game to the web shop. That's not allowed. And but you can talk about the content you have. And I think and believe, since I'm in the industry, for me it's often enough content first. And if you have interesting content set up, communicate about this. And what you can absolutely do is use your social media accounts, use your opt-ins in newsletter campaigns, use your Discord or whatever community-related tool you have to communicate that you have new content, that you have the best offers to be found in the web shop. This is what actually the top grossing brands are doing. They're talking in their channels where they can do it. They talk openly about what kind of offers they carve out. And your whales, your dolphins, they understand immediately what the benefit is when they go through a web shop where they get bigger bonuses or whatsoever on a specific package.
Great, thank you. Great question. Do we have another question from the audience before? We've probably got time for one more, maybe. I know it can be, sometimes it's hard to think on the spot and also put your hand up in front of everyone. So what I would suggest is, it's your email's right there. So if someone has a question for you after the fact, they can follow you. And maybe you're in Meet to Match as well. And as you said, there's a booth here, right? So people can come and have a chat with you. So
around the corner, just step by, and we have a great team of experts who can help you and answer your questions.
Yeah, great. So if you have any questions that come to you as you leave the room, as kind of always happens to me, you can walk straight round and ask you there. Yeah. So look, perfect, Jan. Thank you very much. Round of applause.
Thank you.
For guys.
Thank you, guys.